Have you ever wondered why so many dogs struggle with itchy skin, constant scratching, or ear infections, even when they're eating what's supposed to be a good diet? If you're a dog parent dealing with that frustrations, you are not alone, and that is exactly what we're diving into on today's episode of Tails and Tones. But before we dig in, one quick note. A massive thank you for everyone over the past couple of weeks. We've announced that we've got our very first Tails and Tones product. And in order for us to actually turn this dream from a little bit of I want to say little, but it's actually a hell of a lot of sketches we did to create this reality product of our elevated bowl, we need at least 150 people to actually sign up to our wait list. So thank you so much to each and every one of you that went to that link in our show notes or even our link in bio on our Instagram and clicked on it and signed up. So as of the date of today that we are recording this episode, we've had 18 amazing people sign up. And it is honestly having them help us actually to create the best food and water bowl possible has been amazing. And, being part of our Piper's Founders Pack, it's really such a beautiful community. And there is still some spaces left for you guys. So if you have not joined us, please join with the link that you can find in the show notes. Alrighty, let's dig in. Let's talk about what are we going to put in those bowls. Hi there, and welcome to Tails and Tones. I'm your host, Maris Ganal, also known as Piper's mom. So our guest actually has spent over 20 years in the veterinary field, where she developed a lifelong passion for helping animals live healthier lives. After transitioning out of clinical practice, she discovered her next calling, which is canine nutrition. So she now helps pet parents improve their dog's health by focusing on something as simple but powerful of what goes into their bowls. Please give a awesome welcome to today's guest, Amanda Smith. Amanda, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. So excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited having you here. And, for our listeners who might be new to your work, could you introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah. So I'm Amanda Smith. I'm a functional canine nutritionist. I help guide my canine guardians on how to get to the root cause of gut health problems. So that can look like chronic itchy skin, that can look like chronic diarrhea. I'm also helping guide from kibble to fresh food. So there's a couple of different avenues my services kind of boil down to, but it all starts with the bowl, which then comes to the gut health. So that's what I specialize in.
And you spend about 20 years working in the veterinary field. What really inspired you to kind of move from traditional veterinary work into canine nutrition and gut health?
Yeah. So I spent majority of my career as a vet tech, and I was a receptionist, kennel attendant, exam room tech, ER tech, surgery tech. And then towards the end, I was a physical therapy for cats and dogs assistant. And that kind of opened my eyes to alternative medicine and how our dogs' bodies can heal differently. And I've been an entrepreneur just like yourself for quite a while. And as a vet tech, unfortunately, they're not paid well. So I was always kind of like dabbling in how can I work for myself? How can I help dogs myself that is going to benefit them longevity, health-wise, anything really. So it came down to my own dog, Izzy. She had pancreatitis. And when I went to the vet and it boiled down to that's what it was, they gave me dry dog food, prescription diet. Here's your dog food. This is what you need to feed your dog. And I did it for maybe a month. And I looked at her, I said, this isn't sustainable. I can't financially keep feeding my dog this. And she's like, okay, well, go to the pet store and look for a low fat dog food. And I was flabbergasted. And I'm like, that's it? That's all I'm supposed to do? I don't understand. So I took matters into my own hands, as I feel most of us dog parents do when we have an innate knowing that something's not right. And I got certified as a canine nutritionist, and it was scary. I understand from my client's perspective more than anything, because a dog with pancreatitis, you don't want to mess with because they go through so much pain. And I've seen her through that pain, and I didn't want to cause her pain.
Yeah, wow.
So it made me get certified to make sure I was doing the right thing. I wasn't going to hurt her. And it was the smoothest transition because our dogs' bodies were made to eat whole, fresh foods. Our dogs were designed, just like you and I, to eat whole, fresh foods and not the processed stuff that's in our food markets.
I mean, that is very challenging, and I'm really so glad you bring this up because, you know, I feel it is such a difficult thing when someone comes and asks you, "What are you feeding your dog?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't have the necessary qualifications to say what is best for my dog." But, come to think about it, I'm also not a human nutritionist, and I'm doing okay when it comes to food. I can probably do better though. But, it is very hard when it is your dog. And we often listen to the vets because we feel they supposed to know what they are doing, but they don't necessarily have the nutritional background. So it really makes it hard because sometimes people bring up, yeah, you can't really feed your dog raw food or this food or this food because the studies are saying like this and this. So it really makes it so complicated as like a dog mom trying to do her best, listening to everything, and then looking at my dog's bowl and thinking, okay, firstly, I need to elevate this, so that's what we're working on. But then what do we put inside now? So what is some of your experience with that? Like, how do you help people transition from that? Because like for me, where I'm at, I feel guilty because I'm not sure I'm doing the best for Piper.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? And for that, I say give yourself grace because this is not what we were told. This is not what we were taught. And, I was that tech that said, hey, here's this kibble, feed it to your dog, stick to one diet, and that is it. And that is far from the truth. And I say this a lot that you need to be curious. You need to be open. You need to think outside the box and giving yourself grace, doing your best every single day. The fact that you're here, your audience is listening means that they want to do better. They want to take a step in the right direction. And what that looks like is maybe just removing 20% of the kibble. And my favorite toppers are sardines because dogs love stinky things. So you got your sardines, eggs. Eggs are a great topper as well. You can
Will that
pan.
be like a raw egg or cooked?
So you can cook it, you can crack it in their bowl, they can eat it raw, and that's completely fine. Off topic, I crack a raw egg into my coffee in the morning and I froth it up. It's actually really good.
Oh, wow. Wow. Fun
Yes.
fact.
Yes, fun fact. Then the last one, just as a starter, blueberries. Blueberries are amazing food to add to your dog's bowl. So starting with those three foods that are typically easily accessible at grocery stores, grab some for yourself. You eat some, your dog eats some, and yeah, that's exactly where I would start for my clients.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to see what Piper does with this. Like she's tried sardines, but I'm not 100% loving the sardines because it's got like all of the little bones. That is a little bit harder. So yeah, so she loves it. I'm not loving it because obviously she's got a cleft palate. So I need to dig through the sardine to make sure everything's removed.
Nice,
Um.
nice. They do make them deboned too.
Oh
Yeah,
well,
so look
that's
for that on the
interesting.
label.
Yeah, definitely looking for that. But I mean, many dog parents, like, they look at their dogs and they might think, okay, itchy, like skin, maybe a little bit of ear infection, some paw licking. Those are usually signs which people would think, okay, cool, allergies. But why do you actually say that some of those symptoms actually start in the gut?
In the gut. Yes. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So in the gut. So 70 to 80% of our dog's immune system lives in the gut. when that gut is off balance, it's going to manifest into different types of problems. And that problem can be the itchy skin. It can be um, anxiety. It could be stress. If you think about yourself and let's just say you're not eating the best diet, you don't feel great either. So that can be a thing. And once we're able to get to the root cause of what's going on in the gut, the inflammation, the dysbiosis, then we can calm what's going on the outer layer of our dog. So it's all stemming from the inside to the out.
That's very interesting. And there is tests that you can do for this gut test. And I know for everyone that's listening in the US, I want you to appreciate that you can actually get this test and get it done very quickly because I'm struggling to find a gut test here where we are now, obviously in Dubai. So
Yeah.
maybe just talk our listeners through what they can do if they are in a place that brings that to their house.
Yeah, yeah. So you can test your dog's gut microbiome, and that's going to tell you, give you a breakdown of the good bacteria, the bad bacteria. How much do you have of each and what's out of balance? And the company that I like to use a lot is called Animal Biome. And their reports are very well broken down, but they also give you a 15-minute free consult. So if there's something on there that you don't understand, they also give you a treatment plan too. So they'll say, okay, there is a little bit of an off balance. Let's add in this special probiotic. Okay, great. So you finished your probiotic. We're going to go to the next step. So there are different steps and it's going to take time. That is something I want to shout from the rooftops is that healing is not linear. It is not the same for every dog. It's not that quick fix that we all want. I want it too. We want our dogs to not feel the pain, the suffering, the itching, the licking. But again, for everybody that is here right now, just take the first step. Take the first step, get your dog's gut microbiome tested and go from there. And that's all you can do. From here, just not to put too much pressure on yourself. It's just knowing there's something better and starting today.
And that's amazing. But also with these tests, do we do that very frequently? Do we need to kind of repeat it every couple of months? Is this like a annual thing yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And that's something you wouldn't necessarily think would have to be repeated. But as you and I, our bodies are always changing. Stress is always changing. Environment's always changing. And that affects our gut microbiome as well. So part of the animal biome treatment plan will tell you to retest. And sometimes that retest is in 3 months. Sometimes it's in 6 months. And then when you retest, they're going to tell you when to retest again to get things moving in the right path and moving in the right direction.
Okay, that's great. And once you've kind of got it going well, then obviously it doesn't have to be that regular. But I know there might be some of our dog parents going okay, I don't know if I need to do this test or I don't even know. What are some of those biggest signs that they might look at that their dog might be dealing with that, could actually be some gut imbalance that they could have overlooked?
Yeah, yeah. And a lot, it's funny, my husband probably thinks I'm bananas, but whenever my dogs go to the bathroom in our backyard, I'm like, wait, I gotta go check it out and just take a look at their poop. You can tell a lot by their stool. You can tell a lot by what's going on, not to get too gross, but just take a look at your dog's poop, pay attention. I used to be that dog mom. I don't know. They go to the bathroom, they go in the backyard, they're not pooping in the house. So I guess they're not having problems. Because they're not pooping in the house, that means they're not having immediate problems. So going outside, taking a look, seeing what their poop looks like, what's normal, what's not normal for your dog is different for every dog. So yes, I will say, of course, go to your veterinarian, check for intestinal parasites. We don't want to miss something that a gut microbiome test is not testing for. They don't test for parasites. Doing that, another sign there might be a gut imbalance is stress. If your dog's stressed, then that's panting, that's pacing, that's hiding, the itching, the licking. Those are signs too. A lot deals with our gut health. And if you I just ask you to pay attention to your dog and your dog's
Mm.
behavior. What is normal? What is not normal? And if there's something off, take a look at the gut microbiome because that is the hub of all things we need to care for. So
Yeah.
starting there is definitely key.
So we need to be the poop police and check every poop because it's
Yeah.
so funny because, whenever my husband goes and like pick up Piper's poop, we always have like, oh, you go, I go, kind of thing. Then whoever went has to report back, what was the consistency? We need to
Yes.
be on the same page so that we know. And then if something is wrong, then the other one gets called so that both of us can see. And that's when we typically take the photo and be like, we need to see if it's still like this for the next poop. Then we've got sample, like little things ready to go so that we can take it to the vet. Because, you never know. And you also don't want to miss out on an opportunity to identify if something was wrong.
Exactly. Exactly. I love it. Teamwork.
Exactly. The poop police to the rescue.
Whoop, whoop.
And what are some of those common mistakes you often feel like people make with like their dog's diet that is actually contributing to even more gut inflammation?
I would say feeding too much. So I just had a
Okay.
phone call, a consult with a client, potential client, that she's on one page, her husband's on another page. And it's common, it's common that someone loves to feed more. And it's a terrible thing to say. We almost kill our dogs because we
Mm,
love them so much. We gotta pay attention to how much we're feeding our dogs because too much is not good. And if you are heavy on the treats, then take away some of their meal. That's completely fine. That's like a happy balance. But feeding too much, not knowing what's going in their bowl. So if you are trying to create a bowl at home and you're like, well, here's a protein, here's some rice, here's a veggie, here's a blueberry, here's a fish, you're missing a lot. And
mm,
if we're not rotating, we're going to be missing key nutrients for your dog. And that's okay if we're doing it for a week, but then we get back on page the rest of the time because, like, you can't get to the grocery store. So you're like making up meals as you go. Things happen. But if we continue to progress that way, that's when we're going to see issues later on with our dogs' lives. So those would be the kind of things that I think kind of go wrong
mm.
with feeding our dogs.
That's great. And I mean, obviously, a dog that is at a healthy weight, that is so much healthier for the dog. So it is so important. What we normally do, we ration out Piper's like food and treats every single day. And that is the amount she is given, like nothing more. Sometimes we'll add a small extra, but that is like really like the exception. It is not like an everyday thing. And I feel that has really helped us so that she maintains a healthy weight because a lot of Frenchies has, kind of that reputation.
Yes. Yes, they do. And I love that because, like, my mom, I will, say to her, how much does Piper get to eat? And she's like, I don't know, a cup. And it's like a red solo cup. I'm like, that doesn't tell me anything. Sure, I can measure out that, but I'm sure it's not measured every single time. So knowing how much is going in your dog's bowl is really key and really important to their longevity, really.
And when you say like their bowl and like building up a better bowl for someone like feeding kibble right now, what are some of those few simple foods like you've mentioned previously, the three? But is there something that we can add additional to that to improve our dog's like nutrition?
Yeah, yeah. Rotation. Rotation's key. So like I had already said, your blueberries, eggs, sardines, rotate a mackerel, so like another small fish. Rotate in another maybe fruit or veggie, so your strawberries, or put in a green bean, or adding in some meat. So like if you have leftovers, that don't include onions. You can give your dog some of your meal. You have leftover chicken, add some chicken to that. And then again, always removing some of that kibble because we don't need to be adding to the bowl without removing some of that calorie. So going to the grocery store and just seeing like, hey, the vegetables are on sale and just kind of like mixing up the vegetables every day. And even for the vegetables, I recommend gently cooking them and not giving them raw because that's difficult for dogs to digest. Chia seeds are always good. Hulled hemp seeds are good. Adding some fiber to it. Definitely key. Pay attention to what you're adding into the bowl and making a dog food journal. So you can see that, hey, my dog didn't tolerate strawberries today. Okay, let's put that on the back burner. We'll try it a different day and see if maybe there was a digestive upset for another reason or they don't tolerate it. Definitely, I love the dog food journal, just being mindful about what's going in their bowls and what's causing a reaction and taking a look at their poop and seeing what it's doing when you're changing their food.
Normally gives these little nose butts, and then she's just like, nope, not having that. So I would say to probably about 90% of the food that we try with her, we get that reaction.
I love it. She's got a certain thing that she wants and she knows it. Good for you, Piper.
Yeah, so yesterday, okay, Piper is like almost 6. She's turning 6 in October. Yesterday was the very first time she had peanut butter and
Oh,
actually ate it. Like, but it was
wow.
more like little licks, and I was like, whoa, this is massive. Let's try something new.
That's another thing too. You're like, oh, they like it. Have more. And then you're like, man, I overdid it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So it's a fine line. Don't get too excited, but also, you want to know how much you actually can feed. And I mean, that is also sometimes when people think about fresh food and things, it can be very overwhelming. So you've just mentioned vegetables, it's better to cook it. But what is your philosophy around getting started without having to make it complicated? Because if you have to tell me today, just like take another 6 hours from your day, and we're gonna meal prep for Piper for the food, and you have to go to a grocery store like here, there, and everywhere, and it's gonna take another couple of hours. So that is overwhelming, and I'm like out before I'm in kind of thing.
And I feel like that's definitely a lot of people. There's either the people that are like, give me the recipe, I'm ready to cook, be like Chef Piper and, that kind of thing. And the other people need convenience. And I can respect both of them because I'm a little bit in both worlds where I need something I can easily grab and then I don't mind cooking if I have the time. So there are companies out there that make these pre-made mixes and you can vet them yourself and just kind of take a look at the quality of the meat and quality of their business because just because they can doesn't mean they should. And I say that because there are certain companies out there that are making pre-made mixes and the first or second ingredient is rice. That
Ooh.
should not be the case. That should not. It should be chicken liver, chicken hearts, grind bones of chicken like that. You need full on ingredients you can pronounce and your dog wants to eat. So, and that again, I say, if you're doing those pre-made mixes, rotate your proteins, rotate your companies as well, because certain companies make things in different ways and they might have, a certain vegetable that the other company doesn't use. So you're covering all your bases and throwing in a rotation into your dog's diet and meal, I feel is easy and convenient for those busy dog parents.
Yeah. And I mean, once you kind of started, I think also it is building up. If that is where you start because that's where you're at, maybe it is that you can start making, I don't know, dog biscuits and then next step and baby steps. But I know there is people that's like, I'll go all in. And I love Piper and I would want to give her everything. But I'm like in between that. if I don't know I'm doing the right thing, I would much rather have someone else prep it for me that I know this is exactly what I need to do. If I need to follow a recipe and I can get all the ingredients, then I'm happy to, but it's just like that kind of messy bit in between. And then again, I also feel if you just leap and you take that step and you do it, maybe it becomes easier.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I completely understand that feeding our dogs different from how most of us grew up. It's one day at a time. No need to overwhelm it. No need to make it any more difficult on yourself. If you have a busy schedule, busy life, whatever you have in your cabinets, most likely your dog can have it. So, you know, check it out and see what you can add to your dog's bowl today.
And so, obviously, the bowl, talking about the bowl. So, what role does posture and bowl height actually play in the digestion for the dogs?
The easier it is for a dog's neck and kind of like their natural posture, the better. That way it's not too hard and too tough on their body to digest and kind of make it more smooth, more easy. And even just the way that they're standing and a geriatric dog versus a normal puppy or adult dog doing the same thing every day can put a toll on their body. And I know you are working on something like that, right?
Yes, we are doing our elevated food bowl because I just realized after, a lot of dogs eat about 16,000 meals in their lifetime. So, doing that, how many times ever a day that can already put pressure on their necks is, something that a lot of dogs actually need. So, yeah, we are doing the bowl. So, hopefully, we can get the food now that goes into the bowl along with that. But would you then typically recommend like elevated food bowls for some of your customers as well?
That I would say for my large breed dogs or my brachycephalic dogs. Large breed dogs, I'm talking like your Great Danes because they have a longer way down to eat their food.
Yeah.
Bringing it up closer to their face is definitely going to be more kind and gentle on their body. But honestly, that hasn't been a spot that I've really looked into or talked to my clients about. So I thank you for this moment that I think it will be important because it is. It's,
Yeah.
even thinking about yourself when you're sitting at a dinner table, you have a certain type of posture. There's a certain type of way that you're eating, and it's going to affect them if that's continuously what they're doing. So I love that. And yeah, definitely something to incorporate for sure.
Exactly. And I feel, for each person, it is also very unique because, I mean, when it comes to if you've got a vacuum cleaner for a dog, then, maybe the elevated bowl needs to be discussed a little bit more with like your vet or something. Because, yes, there is some dogs that can get bloat, or if they're prone to bloat, maybe check that out. But for the majority of dogs that I've now like interviewed and has been testing our products, all of them are actually going to that height bowls instead of their normal bowls now. So Piper has been testing our bowls. So she's got currently, and I need to do a video of this, she's got, I want to say 5 different height bowls, and some is like 3 bowls next to each other. And then I actually check which one she goes to and use. So I will like tick like she's used this one, she's used and then see. And then from that, I could actually see she prefers to go to the same height one every single time. So that kind of gave me the clue that that must be the easier one. And that's kind of the height that we've now determined for one of our levels as well. So doing
Well,
some research.
yeah, yeah, no, that's so cool. And especially for a Frenchie, that's going to be helpful for a lot of Frenchie parents. I used to have a Frenchie, so
Yeah.
I could totally see that for my next one. I will have another one because the French bulldogs, there's just something about them. I love them so much. They're so cute. Their personalities.
The medical bills, the vet bills, they
This is true. This is very true. Very true. It comes with the territory.
oh Yeah, no, we honestly love Piper, and a lot of people sometimes ask us, would you consider getting a second one? Second one, no. Would we get one after her? I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say, I'm not thinking even there. I think Piper's gonna live till I'm 80, so she's gonna take
Yes.
care of me in the old age home. So we're like there. We'll see. But yeah,
Yes.
so we're looking forward to getting our bowls and also the stuff that goes into the bowl. So hopefully we can, see what can improve her, because sometimes, she does have allergies and she's got this itchiness, and obviously now we are in spring going into summer type of things. And a lot of people tend to give their dogs a lot of antihistamines during those times, me included, because what do? Piper's got a really runny nose. She's brachycephalic. You don't want her to struggle to breathe. So it's like, what do you do? And some of your advice that I've been following is that you don't start with this issue when you have this issue. So do you want to dig us or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So there are a lot of different things you can add to your dog's bowl. And I will say, kind of rewinding, it's going back to the gut health. Having a strong gut is going to set you up for success for the hard seasons. They might still have their sensitivities, their allergies during those seasons, but it's not going to be as hard. So, adding in those antioxidant type foods to your dog's bowl and anti inflammatory foods to your dog's bowl now gets their gut health set up for that itchy season that is coming or slash already here. So I will say, if some of your listeners listen to or follow Dr. Karen Becker and Rodney Habib, they have a really great resource of supplements that you can use now to prepare. And at the top of my mind, I can't think of them, but they have a great resource. I would definitely check them out as to like supplement wise what you can do. But in my mind, it's all starting back at the gut. It's all starting with what we're feeding our dogs right now, removing that 20% of kibble and adding in anti-inflammatory type foods to that bowl and seeing how they react. Seeing, does it work? Does it not work? What do you need to change? It's all trial and error. It's not a quick fix. And maybe this season coming up, it's a little less than what it was last year. And then next year, it might be a little less. And it's just something you might need to continue to build on for your dogs.
Because again, this is not an overnight, like, true dream come true. We've got a magic wand type of thing. It takes time. But what is some of those changes that we would typically see in our dog once their gut health has improved?
Less itching, less licking, less inflamed. So, my one dog, Scarlet Joe, the whole name of my business, she was an allergy dog, was an itchy dog, and now she has a pink belly, a happy little pink piggy belly. And I'm like, I never thought I'd see it. And I'm so happy and so lucky that she's doing better than she was the year prior. So, paying attention to their skin, paying attention to, are they waking you up in the middle of the night, licking and biting and scratching? Really knowing your dog, you'll start to see the improvements, more energy, more excitement at mealtime. Yeah, that more energy thing. I get a lot of that from my clients is how much it's changed their dog's personality in a good way. So a lot of positive, a lot of good that comes from really working on the gut health.
That's so interesting when you say more positive when it comes to food, because we have, in the last year, Piper had surgery to remove 6 of her teeth. And it was 6 healthy teeth, so there was nothing wrong with them. But she was constantly biting her tongue to a point where she looks like almost she's got a little jigsaw type of tongue. It looks terrible. And so we never knew that removing her teeth would have such a massive impact on her. She's loving food now, whereas previously I think she probably was in pain, like when she was eating, when she was playing. So, and now, like, like my father-in-law the other day actually saw on video when we gave her meatballs, and he was like, "No, that's not Piper," because she used to live with them as well. And he was like, "She honestly, you had to like almost beg her to eat her food, no matter what it was." And now she's like, when you say she's gonna get her food, she's like almost licking her eyes, so excited. So I mean, it is just really amazing what little things we don't normally know is wrong with our dog, but what a massive impact that has. So, looking forward to sort out all of the other stuff as well. But yeah, it's great seeing that, and that makes me so happy every time when she licks her mouth like that, and I'm like, "Oh, yay!" So, if some dog parents are listening right now, and their dog is currently itchy or have some of these signs, what would you say is that very first step that you would like kind of encourage them to take today?
Check the gut health. Check the gut health, because if you have the resources and the ability to do it, you're not going to throw spaghetti at the wall, and you're
Mm.
just going to drive yourself bananas. Trial and error what's going to work for your dog, and I feel that burns people out sooner than later trying to figure it out. So once you check the gut health, the other thing too is food and environmental sensitivity testing. So I like to use the company Glacier Peak, and giving us tools, steps, gives us steps in the right direction, gives us what we can work with. And then once things come down, you would retest again. So test, don't guess is kind of the little slogan that's out there. Um, let's just say you can't do that. I would work on gut appropriate foods. And that could be gently cooking chicken. That could be cooking beef and adding it to the bowl and removing some of that kibble and playing with the bowl that way and paying attention to how your dog's reacting. Those would be either or steps. If you can test, test. If you can't, remove some kibble and start adding those toppers and seeing how your dog reacts to the food.
And is there something like, I mean, obviously for us as humans, there's always these things that say, oh, your protein needs to be like this size, or, you need to have proportion. If this is your plate, then half of this is this. And I don't even know what it is. I'm not a nutritionist. Is there something like that where we work on different ratios and like, this is the protein, this is the veggie, this is your carbs? I don't know.
No, that's a good question. And there's really no right answer to that. There are some people that call it 80-10-10. So like 80% muscle meat, 10%, I'm just throwing things out there, your vegetables, 10% bone or 10% fish. That can be okay in rotation. That's not complete imbalance. So again, like saying you should give 30% meat and then 30% organ meat and then 30, like it's not ideal, and there's not one size fits all. So when I work with my clients, I make a complete and balanced recipe using animal diet formulator. So a good chunk of that is going to be your muscle meat, and then it's going to be organ meat, and then it's going to be kind of your fish, your vegetables, and kind of the fillers that complete the recipe. Doing your research, doing your homework, and knowing what works for you and what works for your dog is going to be different for everybody. Trying to answer it, but there's no real clear answer for that, in my opinion.
And if you could change like one thing about how people actually think about feeding their dogs, what would that be?
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. There's no need to get yourself worried, upset. If you have a normal, healthy, happy dog, start adding food to the bowl. Start rotating that food. Have fun. Have fun with it. If you're eating something that's okay and safe for a dog, give some to your dog. If you're not sitting at the table, if you're not sitting on the couch, depending on your behaviors and how you
Yeah.
like to do it at home. I know some people don't care for that. My dogs are happy sleeping on my couch right now. It's per home, whatever floats your boat, but keep
Yeah.
it simple and have fun.
I love that. And, like kind of looking at the food and things as well. So you've got the bowl of food that you can kind of give. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff. You've got some amazing recipes, which is also in like your community. So like just for example with Piper, because obviously she's got a cleft palate. We've got she's currently eating kibble and like raw food, but she doesn't like the texture of raw food, so we have to put it in the air fryer. So she gets air fried meatballs, and then she loves this like chasing game where in the evenings we'll do like her nails, like Dremel it a little each night because otherwise, it's a no-go. But then we'll give her like some of her kibble that she just chase, and that is kind of the best time of the day for her is when she chase that. So when you think about raw food, is there something that we can like make to give her so she can chase that? Because I'm not like gonna throw meatballs on the carpet, even though it is full of stains, I must say. But yeah.
Oh my goodness. Raw, I'm going to say no because it's raw. And, a lot of people worry about contamination and then what's going on your floor, what's going on outside. Yeah. I mean, like you said, you have those little meatballs. There's air dried, there's freeze dried, there's a lot of whole food ingredient type treats that you can give. And companies make those little meatballs too. So
Mm,
maybe even just breaking up those little meatballs and just, throwing it in the backyard and letting her have a little sniffari. So
yeah.
there's a
Sounds
lot of
great.
options.
So for our wonderful Tales and Tones community, where can they actually find you, Amanda?
Yeah. So I have a website, caninegutsolutions.com. And then I'm most active on Instagram, which is Canine Gut Solutions. And my first consultation is always free. And that's kind of let's have a conversation. Let's see how I can help you and support you. If I can, then we'll talk about what that looks like. If I can't, I will set you up with a bunch of resources and someone that may or may not or may be able to help you in that situation. So I love having these conversations because being a previous vet tech, I've seen so many people. There are so many things that you can do if you only knew. And having these conversations with these first time consults is being able to educate people that are ready to listen and ready for the help. So it's a lot of fun. I truly enjoy it.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I'm going to link all of that up in our show notes as well. So head on over to our website and you would be able to find it there. Thank you so much for sharing, your amazing journey and the work that you do. It truly makes a difference.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. So, as we wrap up today's conversation, one of the biggest takeaways is that, our dog's health truly starts from the inside out. So, whether it is itchy skin, digestive issues, or overall vitality, what goes into their bowl can make a powerful difference. And as Amanda reminded us today, sometimes the small changes we make in nutrition can have a huge impact on our dog's quality of life. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your knowledge, your passion, and your story for helping dogs live healthier lives. We are so grateful that you could be part of this Tales and Tones community. And thank you, amazing listeners, for tuning in to today's episode. If today's episode actually spoke to you, please consider sharing it with a fellow pet parent who might benefit from this conversation. And if you have a moment, please head on over to podchaser.com and leave us a 5-star review. This truly helps more pet parents actually discover the show so we can continue growing this community and really bring you more incredible experts and helpful conversations to support you and your dog. If you've got any questions or just want to come and say hi, I'm always around on Instagram at Tales and Tones, where every tale tells a story and every tone speaks from the heart. See you in the next one.